There's actually, you mentioned J.D. Salinger. This makes me unique in zero ways, but like every other writer in the world, I think. When I was 13, I read The Catcher in the Rye and decided, this is what I want to be. This is what I want to do, just like this. I want to write. I thought to myself, you're allowed to write like that? Can't believe this, you know? Because it sounded like a conversation, and I just thought, how amazing is that? You know, that you can make something so beautiful that just sounds like someone talking. And even though it's been years since I read The Catcher in the Rye, I really feel like my experience of reading that book was formative.
Which other books and authors have affected
so many.
you the most?
So many.
Do you have a top five?
I don't know. I don't even think I do. But I think there are so many. You know, I've read so many books that I like for so many different reasons, and I feel like I learned something from every book that I like. You know, I remember reading That Night by Alice McDermott and just thinking a couple things. One, wow, there's so much you can do with point of view. You know, our options for point of view are not nearly as limited as I had thought. So that was really eye-opening. And then also reading that book and thinking, it's a novel about something that happens in suburbia. It's this event that happens in a neighborhood that's very small, but to the people in the neighborhood, it's enormous because their lives are somewhat small. And it's an entire novel about this one seemingly unimportant event and how it you know, the ripple effect of it in the lives of these characters. And I just thought, that's amazing. You can write a whole novel about something that doesn't sound like something you could write a novel about. You don't have to write about the car accident. You don't have to write about the, you know, the fiery, dramatic death at an early age. You know, you can write a story about a fight in a neighborhood, or Catcher in the Rye again. You know, you can write a story about a kid getting kicked out of boarding school. It's like, who cares, right? But it's one of the most beautiful novels in, you know, the history of American fiction, I think. I remember reading The Secret History by Donna Tartt and just learning a lot about plot. So a lot of times I'll read a novel and there's something in there. Learned a lot about language from reading Veronica by Mary Gateskill. So.
If I gave you a long paragraph or a page, with what percentage of accuracy do you think you could tell whether it was written by a man or a woman?
Never really thought about that before. I don't know.
Do you think there's a different way that men and women think and write and structure their
Not
sentences?
always. I think that some authors are very clearly male and some authors are very clearly female, but I think there are some that... I mean, if I were to read Middlesex by Jeffrey Eugenides and not know who'd written it, I wouldn't know.
I'm reading it right now.
You are? It's one of my favorites. What do you think?
That was amazing.
It's a treasure. And I wouldn't know, just by reading it, just by the way he constructs the story or the sentences, whether or not he was a man or a woman. And it's not just because it's about a hermaphrodite, it's because his range is so enormous.
So you're saying you can't always tell, but
No.
you think you can usually tell? You think that
I mean, I don't know.
there are different ways that men and women construct sentences?
If there is a difference, I would say it's more because of societal influences. For example, I would say, you know, okay, for example, when I was a grad student, I remember a lot of the girls were, you know, doing a lot of Laurie Moore knockoffs, and a lot of the guys doing Dennis Johnson knockoffs. I would never want to write like Dennis Johnson. I think he's an amazing writer, but it would never occur to me to copy him. But I think there's something in his writing that really speaks to men. So I would say because of our different influences, we probably write differently. Similarly, in society, you know, just being raised as a female, you have different influences than you have if you're raised as a male, right? So is that innate? I mean, in my opinion, the environment is a much stronger influence. So if there, if there's a difference, I would say it's because of what we read. What do you think?
I'm a traditionalist.
What does that mean?
I think there are fundamental differences between men and women.
Oh, I do too. Oh, I absolutely do.
And this translates itself into the written word.
Yeah. Oh, you do think it translates to the written word? Always? Or
not
okay.
Always, no, but 90%.
Do you agree with me about Jeffrey Eugenides?
I'm thinking. I can't think of any reason to disagree with you as yet.
You have to let me know what you think when you finish. Yeah. It's a great book.
Yeah. Your book is the first book I've ever seen where there's an interview with the author at the back.
Harper Perennial, my publisher, does the PS section. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that before?
Yeah, because when I signed with them, I saw a bunch of their books. So.
Prior to signing with them?
I can't remember now.
What surprised you about the publishing process?
I think the part that was the most difficult was recognizing that this thing that had been mine for years, almost like my imaginary friends, was suddenly a product being sold by a company. And of course that's what I wanted and that was what I was aspiring to, but it was a very strange feeling to have to hand it over. And you learn a lot about the industry when you publish a book, so a lot of things were surprising to me just because I had seen other friends go through it, so I guess I wasn't totally shocked, but a book is a product like any other, and the people at my publishing house are amazing. They really do treat the books like important literary works. Every book is important, every book gets attention. However, there's just no way around the fact that it's a product that gets sold in stores, so it has to be packaged as such, and that was interesting. It was striking.
What about being edited?
My editor has a very light touch. I did a lot of editing with my agent, and by the time it got to Harper Perennial, it was pretty clean, and my editor had suggestions that she wanted me to cut a scene and to add a scene, and then other than that the edits were very small, but she's also very open to discussion, so if I had disagreed with her it would have been okay. She had bought it how it was and liked it, but I thought her suggestions were astute and I followed her lead. And then once I started doing those two things, there were other things that had to change also, so she gave me a lot of leeway. And it wasn't, I'd heard so many horror stories and it just wasn't like that at all for me. It was painless and actually really eye-opening, to have somebody read the novel several times and then really think about it hard and give you suggestions. It was really cool. And I have a really good relationship with my editor, actually. She's great. So that part of it was, you're looking at me like, oh, you wouldn't say if that wasn't true, right? Is that the look that I'm getting? But actually, it is true. She's really wonderful, and so is my agent. So I was lucky. I've heard horror stories.
Did you lose any friends from publishing the best novel?
I hope not.
Did you notice anyone in your life resenting you for your success? Holding it against you? Were they genuinely glad for you?
People seem to be really supportive. I hadn't really thought about it. I think everybody was happy for me, but is that naive?
You have a terrible person.
Am I being a guppy? I don't know. Everybody seemed to be really happy for me. So I think people think it's cool to know a writer,
Have you ever resented a person for their success?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not totally foreign to you.
No, of course.
Well, that guy's dealing with an angel, not a...
Oh, no.
Okay, so you understand how people resent people.
Yeah,